Welcome everybody to BigGunner81 Live, presented by Spencer Precision, Eggleston Munitions, Applied Arsenal Finishes and Gunworks, and the Range 355. So welcome everybody. Tonight we've got a few people in the house with us. We'll go through and introduce everybody we have here. Just on the bottom of my screen, we got Corey from Southern Style Beards. Welcome, Corey.
Hey guys. Thank you.
I also got Jason from Century Arms International. Welcome. I'm not going to even try your last name because I'll probably mess up the pronunciation, by the way.
Carvoyas.
See, I definitely went off. So welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Anytime, man.
And we got Kent from Green Mountain. I messed up the last name. One thing to learn is I'm always horrible with names. I mess them up for a while until we get them. Green Mountain Defense.
There we go. How are you doing,
everybody?
Did
get it. Okay, good. And also we got TJ the Lead Slinging Ginger on Instagram. Welcome.
Hey guys.
So we'll talk with Jason a little bit about what he does and stuff with Century Arms, and kind of bring up a couple things that I have going on right now. First off, with the 50 States of AR-15 project, just picked up 2 more of the receivers as I bang it on the table here. This one is the one for Alaska right here from Dark Systems. They're out of a town called Wasilla, if I'm saying that right. It's kind of the starting point for the Alaskan build. We also have right here the West Virginia receiver set from Precision Firearms. Pretty cool. They're out in Martinsburg, West Virginia. So something else we got in the works right now that we're testing out. Kind of been wanting to play around with revolvers a little bit. Haven't really had much experience with them. Probably shot like 2 so far. A friend of mine had a 44 mag, and then I think a 22 that I also shot, I believe. So I've seen, Rockland Armory has this. Their M2. I want to say M209, but it's actually M206. It's a little 38 special, wood grips, nickel finish. Just a basic, little snub nose revolver. Interested in checking it out and testing out the range and so forth. I can tell you the trigger, and again, so you guys can all see this. It's not loaded. Trigger pull on it. It's long, heavy, like any double action type revolver from what I've heard and seen. But it's very smooth. I like it. So we're looking forward to taking that to the range and testing it out. From recently this past weekend, we're out at Woody's Hunt Club out here in North Carolina, and hanging out with our friend John Boyette, who's a firearms instructor, and I had a great time. We actually got to test out a few things. One of them was the AR-10 build. Got that right here. I showed this a few times on there. I'm going to do a video on this soon enough to kind of talk about all the components and everything that went into it. But finally, worked out the bugs with that. One of the things we had to do is drill out the gas port on it because it's a long story, but to kind of shorten it up, the barrel, when it was manufactured, they sent me one that was meant for someone else that had purposely wanted a smaller gas port. And drilled it out, got the gas system functioning as it should be, and so forth, got it up and running, and ran a few rounds through it this past weekend. Also got to zero in a few different rifles for the 50 States project, my competition rifle, and Laura, actually, we zeroed in her Hollow Sun on her rifle build from the His and Her Rifle Build project we did. And she actually made her first 550-yard shot with the Hollow Sun Red Dot. To me, that's impressive, very awesome, especially running 55 grain and there's some wind going on and everything. And to do that for the first time after getting it zeroed is just pretty awesome. So anyway, that's some of my stories from this week. We'll kind of jump in and talk with Jason a little bit. So Jason, tell us a little bit about what you do with Century Arms and stuff.
So I'm the director of sales at Century Arms, which effectively means I handle all of the Red Army standard ammunition, all of our AKs from the overseas import builds to the U.S. made production, and then all the Canic firearms and all the assorted accessories that go along with all those goodies.
So what is your favorite product that you guys sell?
Tough call. I love shooting AKs. I was just out at the Red October match out there, which is a great event. If any of you guys can make it out, it's really cool. I ran one of the C39 V2 pistols with a brace shockwave blade on it all weekend, and
Nice.
That just always is a good time. About 300 people come out and shoot that. But I don't know if I have a favorite. I carry a Canic daily. I carry the Elite. I like it more than some of the other models. I used to carry a Glock 19, and it's exactly the same size. I mean, when you get down to it, you look at the measurements, and it's so minutely different that it just felt right and still does. So
where is the Red Army standard ammo actually manufactured?
A bunch of different places historically. Right now, what's coming in steel is coming from Russia.
Okay, cool.
So the factories that we're getting it from are right now not affected by the ban. I mean, that ammo used to come in from Bosnia. We had Hungarian ammo. You'll find when you get into importing stuff like that there are different countries that do different things well or have access to different raw materials in different amounts. So
that's cool.
Russia's great with steel. You want to get brass there, you're going to be SOL. So you go looking for where you can get reliable sources from good manufacturers that goes bang every time. So right now, what we have coming in is actually Russian. It's a factory that's making sealed neck, sealed primer boat tail ammo.
Nice.
So in the steel case, it's actually allows you to get a little more accuracy out of the AK with that boat tail round. Is just kind of cool. And shoots clean.
Well, that's good.
Doesn't gum up.
That's one of the things I'm actually I just picked up my first AK, believe it or not, and it is the Raz 47. I like it. I haven't really gotten to shoot it much and everything, but it's something I gotta look at too is ammo. That's why I was kind of interested to hear what you had to say about that. Because it seems like it's all over the place as far as pricing on this stuff. Of course, brass versus steel, obviously always going to be more expensive and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But the downside is most indoor ranges, want you to have brass and non-magnetic projectiles and so forth.
Yes,
which really sucks because that drives up the price of shooting an AK, as I found out. But I do like it. I think it's pretty nice setup and everything. I think the way I look at it is it's a good entry level AK. That's what I was looking for. Of course, like I said, I just got it, so I'm just starting to try it out and everything, of course. But that's just my basic impression of it.
We, I think, have right now a couple 100,000 of those out there in the world, and lots of people love them and enjoy them. On the ammo thing, that's kind of the never-ending struggle with the AK. I've heard guys tell me, with ARs and things that you shouldn't shoot steel case because it's going to wreck your gun. But you don't have that problem in an AK, and I really don't buy it because if the steel in your gun is softer than the crappy steel coming out of places like Russia and third world countries, then you've got bigger issues in your ammo. On the AK, with the big fat extractor and the way that the gun works and the violence of the action in it, steel case isn't an issue, and it's troublesome because everybody wants to run the steel because they know they can. It won't hurt their gun. It shoots well. It doesn't gum it up if you use anything decent. But as you said, ranges always want the brass case. They want the and they're looking for that more expensive ammo. And even at the low end, 40 something cents a round for brass case through an AK, guys are going, man, that doesn't fit the gun and what I bought it for.
Yeah, so. I totally understand that. Same thing with I'm running with a 308 too. I just built my first AR-10 as I was talking about, and I'm looking at cost of ammo for shooting that because it's another 30 caliber. And I'll mention this too. I was talking about this off air. There's a deal for you, those of you out there listening. If you go to gun.deals, it was formerly slickguns.com. We've talked about it in the past. It's a website that's basically there for posting like deals on different, firearm related products and stuff and firearms and whatnot and ammo. And they have a listing for like Malaysian 308 and Sportsman's Guide's got it. A couple other vendors have it. I think it's like a 540 round. Comes with a ammo can. I think the best price you can get is somewhere around 33 cents, probably a little bit more. They have a coupon code you could use and stuff like that. You can just kind of check it out. At least that's as of right now. Prices always change, but I hate talking about pricing on the show or on any of my stuff, but I do mention it from time to time with certain things. But that particular ammo, it's brass cased but it's bird-in primed. What that means for those maybe are not sure what that means. Bird-in primed is basically not designed to be reloaded. Boxer primed is, but it's bird-in primed, so you can't reload the brass, but it's brass. However, the projectiles, from what I understand, are a bimetal, which is magnetic, even though it has a lead core. So chances are, local indoor range that has rules against projectiles that are magnetic probably can't run it. But it's low cost, for if you want to shoot something that's brass out of your 308 and so forth. But anyhow, I think I was going to ask about too is like the TP9 SFX.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, I've seen it, myself, haven't got to shoot one yet. Saw it at SHOT Show last year, with the Viper red dot, on it and so forth. I think it's a pretty awesome entry level pistol for competition use.
Yeah, so the SFX has been a huge kind of runaway success. We wanted to do something. Canic pistols are priced, more aggressively than some of the others for a whole lot of quality and a whole lot of goodies in the box. And we set about working with Turkey, with Canic, on making something for the U.S. market, kind of giving them input and saying, these are the things that guys here are looking for. There's not a huge 3-gun scene over there. So they don't necessarily know, hey, like you want your mag release to stick out a full 3/8 of an inch outside the gun. To them, that just seems crazy. So, we went through a bunch of different iterations with it, and we found that, we could get for a price that's attractive to, U.S. shooters, a gun that, has interchangeable mag releases in the box. There's 3 different sizes. There's all the plates to fit any gun, any optic you could want to put on the gun. It's got the Warren tactical sights out of the box. It comes with a holster. Not many guys are using that holster in competition, but if you wanted to, you can take your gun day one and go shoot a match with it.
Exactly. So who's a beginner who doesn't have a light gear, at least they have something to go out with.
Yep. So we took that gun, we sent it out for evaluation. We go every year to Rock Castle and do the Industry Choice Awards, which used to be the Industry Masters. And we sent that gun there, and it competed against actually just about every gun you could think of for major manufacturers, including some of the $2,000, 2011 pistols and stuff for the competition guns, and won handgun of the year with that gun. So it's been cool seeing it take off.
So whether you get the actual one with the red dot mounted on it or the one without it, it has all those plates with it, so you can adapt it to whichever, the most common ones, basically.
Yep. We teamed up with Vortex. We have a lifetime warranty. They have a lifetime warranty. We really like their stuff. It fits the value of the gun. And so we do sell a version that has that actually in the box. And along with it in the box are the plates for anything else you might want to put on. I had some guy tell me that the gun was so good priced, and he already had another red dot that he liked at home, that he bought it. He took the Vortex out and put it on his AR. So
that's cool.
It's a good value add in the package.
I like that.
How do you think that?
Go ahead.
Sorry. How do you think that compares to the MOS Glock platform?
I think it's kind of a different animal. You're in a different price range. 2, when you compare it to the Glock, you're not getting out of the box those, you're not getting a front fiber optic sight. You're not getting a rear, U-notch blacked out Warren tactical sight. You're not getting a holster. You're not getting interchangeable mag releases that come in the box. We actually have a charging handle that also comes in the box. You can outfit it. Like, lots of people don't know, if you open up that box, there's a little, 2-inch by 2-inch square that has spare fiber optics when you want to change the colors or change the size, because you can actually change the size of the dot real easy on it. You just melt it and push it down a little more. You can kind of customize the gun out of the box. So I think it's a different game. I mean, they're both perfectly reliable.
I was asking more in like the actual optic interface itself.
The Glock,
plates and the...
it's about the same. I mean, theirs fits a lot of stuff, and ours fits a lot of stuff. I think ours might be a little thicker and higher on the gun. I haven't found it to be an issue at all. If you gotta you got to work with your gun and get your head lined up right. But when I say a little higher, you're talking maybe a couple millimeters, and it has to do with the design of our channel that the striker rides in. It sits a little higher.
Gotcha. See, it's funny you mentioned that, because I just had a striker channel issue on a Glock with a too long of a screw length going down in the striker channel, and it screwed up the striker on me.
Wow.
So, on any gun, on any striker fired gun, that I can think of, there's not a lot of real estate there to work with, and you see guys milling out, guns. There's a lot of companies that do that really well, and they get your optics sitting really low, and they get you a really good platform. As you found, sometimes they'll make a note, or sometimes they don't tell you, use the screws that came with your optic, or use the screws that I provided when I cut your slide, and they've cut off the end of it. Sometimes you run into issues where they've cut too much meat out, and then your screws are never long enough to hold it reliably. But you got to have the right people work on your gun.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, that's one thing that's nice about having something that's out of the box already set up versus having it customized to have it milled and have the have that plate set up for having a red dot or whatever on it. Because you know what to expect. You have all those tolerances already set up, and you know what hardware you're using for it and everything like that. Definitely. Plus, that also comes with 4 mags, does it not?
It comes with 2 20 rounders.
2 20 rounds. Okay.
And one of the things that we wanted to address, we only brought these guns in a few years ago, and they've taken off like crazy. I mean, we went from 3,000, I think, the first year with the original kind of CZ clones. It was 30,000 the next year when the TP9 SA came out, and we'll do over 100,000. There's been a lot of growth there. But one of the challenges is you introduce a new, especially a foreign pistol to the U.S. market, and people go, screw that, I'm never going to be able to get mags, I'm never going to find stuff that fits, I'm never going to be able to get holsters and all that. So what we did was we aggressively teamed up with everybody that we could, got them guns, got them to make holsters. We went and got sights made, they're true glow sights for the gun, and our own Warren tactical sights. So you have some options there. And in terms of the mags, they're MECR magazines. They're on a common base. They're not directly interchangeable, but you can find those mags for $25 all day long. And we didn't bring in like a few. There's tons at every major distributor and most online gun shops and all.
Yeah, MECR makes some really awesome mags. So is the mag actually a MECR mag or just the base pad?
Nope, it's a MECR mag. Always
Awesome.
has been an Italian MECR mag.
That is awesome, yeah, because I run my 226, my SIG, and love them. They make great stuff from MECR, definitely.
You can take your 226 mag and you can put it in your Canic, and you can take your Canic mag and put it in your 226.
Really? They're interchangeable?
Yeah. They are. Now, you will notice a little wobble, but I've also never noticed any feeding issues just trying it out. Not going to say you should run it on a defensive pistol, but it's the same mag body with the same mag catch, actually.
That's cool, because I got a bunch of them from 226. Now I'm wanting to get one even more. That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about the trigger on that thing, too.
That's been, probably the feature that people have liked most about the gun, or the one that's garnered the most attention when people come to the booth at any of the shows that we're at. It's either somebody saying, I've never seen these pistols before, and me or one of my guys saying, you really need to check it out. Here, try the trigger, point it in a safe direction, give this a shot if you think it's a cheap gun. They do, and they go, they usually turn to somebody else that's with them and go, whoa, you need to check this out. Or it's somebody coming up to the booth telling a buddy, or somebody standing there like, you need to try the trigger on that gun. It's a smooth, clean break. They vary a bit from the factory, but like 4 pounds, right, wavering around in there by a couple points is common. And the one on the SFX is tuned a little more. You're looking at between 3.5 and 4, but they're all just a 0.2 of an inch reset with an audible click. Real positive interaction there.
I like that nice positive click idea, and I do remember that too. Because, for example, we picked up a Smith & Wesson MP Pro not long ago. Actually, Laura bought it, and it's one of the things I really didn't like about the factory trigger. You know, it just felt very spongy. The reset on it, there's no real audible click or any feel to it. You know, to really know that you have that. You know, I forgot what the word I'm looking for, but anyway, you don't have that real like nice click to it. So no, that's it's a stopping point right there. Right. And we went with an Apex trigger on it and installed that, and it was a much better trigger pull and so forth, but it didn't have that audible click. Well, they have a I forgot what the name of that the I don't want to say it's like a RAM set or something they call it. Basically, it's a little pin and plunger that adds that nice little audible click and a feel to it, which made all the difference in the world, in my opinion. And she likes it. She's happy with it now. I had some issues with the sights actually on that one. We talked about like the high vis sights. The front sight just sheared off. Smith & Wesson's been good about it. They sent a replacement, so I'm not complaining about it. I mean, they did take care of it. The rear one, is again a high vis sight, and has a like a roll pin through it where it hinges for the adjustable, you know, for height adjustability. And that roll pin, the other day we're at the range about a week or so ago. You know, I'm shooting it. I'm noticing the pins walking out of the rear sight. So, you know, I obviously stopped shooting. I'm like, oh, look, I can push the pin in and out now. They're sending a replacement again, but a little bit disappointing. Yeah, I have higher hopes with the TP9 SFX though.
So
that's why I'm looking at trying one out. So
have any of you guys tried the trigger on one of the Canik double action pistols?
I might have. I just don't remember.
Everybody tried one. So one of the ones that we make the original TP9 was actually a double action single action gun, and then we came out with the TP9 V2, which had an upgraded frame. I mean, it was more ergonomic and had better grip texture and things like that. But the latest one that we have is this TP9 DA. So the decocker is smaller. It's been improved. It's easier to work with. So it works much like your SIG 226. You can be in double action. I mean, you can be in single action after you load a round, chamber a round. You can hit the decocker and you're in double. You can kind of stage the trigger if you just load the first round. And then you can shoot, you know, first round from your draw double action, and then you're in single. So on a striker, I mean, it was something that was on the original P99 Walthers. And if you're, you know, for the people that are familiar with the SIG Classic series, that's an easier move over to a striker gun.
That's pretty cool. So I remember that you mentioned about the decocker on the side of them. A while back, right about the time when the TP9 was really becoming popular, just the original one that was out, I went to visit our friends over at MGS Firearms in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, to check it out. Did a little video with them, kind of like an unboxing, talk about what comes with it, you know, the holster, mags, this and that. I believe that when we were talking about the decocker, some people were saying about, you know, oh, they're worried about, you know, bumping it and decocking it and this and that. But wasn't, I'm trying to remember now, I'm probably messing up my thought, but there was just a single action only, correct?
Well, the original TP9 had a decocker and it put it in double action. There is a TP9 SA that we still make that the decocker is actually kind of your takedown. Okay. It serves two functions. Instead of ever having to pull the trigger like you do on a Glock for your takedown, you unload the gun, show clear, you hit the button, and that takes all the pressure off the striker. There's nothing primed.
Gotcha.
Okay, so your gun is effectively safe to, you just pull down the tabs and the slide comes off. Now, the other function of that is, and some people have used it for this, is, you know, they hit the decocker with a round in the chamber, they throw it in their glove box, and then they're not worried about it bumping around. Now, if you want to, let's say that you did that and you wanted to get the gun back in the fight. Usually you'd use gross motor skills and you'd rack the gun. You know, you're going to run the slide hard. But you really only have to go back less than a quarter of an inch to prime the striker again.
Gotcha.
So you don't have to lose a round. You can leave one, you know, in the chamber. So it's an option. I use it as a takedown.
Okay.
You know, we know that thing where you tell people, this is the gun. You never, you know, touch the trigger unless you intend to fire the gun, and you know it's in a safe direction. And then you tell them, here's your first gun. Let me show you how to take it apart. Point over here and pull the trigger, and then hit these buttons. And they're like, wait, you just told me don't do that. So hit the takedown button.
Got it. Very cool. So, you guys got any questions too for him? Kent, DJ, either of you?
Are you based in Vermont, Jason?
I'm not. Our corporate office is sales, marketing, and all that is down in Florida, Delray Beach.
So what's all up in Vermont then?
Vermont is manufacturing importation. We have our kind of accounting offices there and some of the finance guys. Obviously, the COO runs the factory up there. So all of your RAS 47s, C39s, US Dracos, C39 pistols, and all are built there. And then all of the imported guns, including, you guys know we're a 59-year-old surplus company. So all of the surplus that comes in from overseas goes into our bonded warehouse. So all the things that from those cool parts kits and the set me guns, C308s and stuff that comes in as full auto, that's where we convert them, demill them and convert them. And then things like the Yugo NPAP guns and the Wazers, they come in there and they get 922 art.
Nice. So I'm just down the road from you in Bethel, Vermont, about an hour away from the Georgia facility. Cool. And I was psyched to pick up a Vermont-made rifle, even though it wasn't AK. So,
man, I appreciate that. You could get you in for a factory tour if you'd like.
Convert all. Don't even go there. You won't get rid of me.
That is awesome.
No, we do that. That'd be fun. I'm usually up there once every couple months. So if you want to do a tour, shoot me a message after this. We can set that up.
It'd be awesome, man. It's cool that there's some gun industry around us. It's nice.
It's for a time there, Century was one of the biggest employers in Vermont, and has for a very long time been one of the biggest employers in that county. Even as lots of jobs came in there.
The only employer in that county. Come on, let's be honest.
Was for a while, but yeah, we've got 135 people working in that factory. Building guns and supporting.
That's awesome.
Manufacturing imports. So, yeah, cool area.
Yep.
Very cool.
Except when it's cold, like now.
Oh, come on! It's summertime. It's nice.
Hey, summertime for you is a little different. I'm sitting outside here in Florida. It's 82, I think, tonight.
Wow. Yeah, even when we're down there, I'd say that's why I kind of picked someplace in the middle here in North Carolina. I mean, coming from like Chicagoland area. I'm not missing the winter right now, but of course it's very humid out here, from what I've seen and been experienced, from being down here since like March, but summer. But yeah, I don't really envy the 82-degree temps in the evening in Florida. Not at all.
Yeah, our owners like the heat. They came down to Boca Raton and then moved to Delray. But it's no surprise that the factories in Vermont. Vermont has some of the best, or probably the best, gun laws in the country.
Amen, brother. Amen.
So
that's what I'm hearing. That's pretty cool. So, what else is on the horizon for Century Arms, as far as anything new that's coming out to talk about?
Yeah, we've got always looking to do new things on the AK side. We're looking to do some work on accurizing the AK for some cool features and stuff. We were out with the guys from Athlon Media that do a bunch of magazines like Ballistics and a few others, and we were doing a demo shoot, and we had the C39 pistol, which is a 10.6 inch off the top of my head, milled gun, and I'd put a brace on there, and I was letting all the writers do kind of the Pepsi challenge. I'd have them shoot then 300 yards, and if they could hit the 300-yard gong, I'd give them some swag. You get a koozie and some goodies, right? So we had some guys next to us from another gun company that were shooting some traditionally more accurate long range rifles, and they had their gongs out at like 500, and it was in Arizona, set up in the hills. It was a cool setting. So a couple of the guys later in the day wanted to shoot with the iron sights 500 yards with the AK, and I said, man, go ahead. I'll give you something cool if you hit it. And after they started doing it repeatedly, they started calling the other writers over, like, you got to come back to the Century, booth over here. Everybody's shooting this AK pistol 500 yards. So we're gonna do some cool stuff with that. Ringing some more accuracy out of the AK. We've got some cool, AK kind of accessory stuff coming up that'll fit the guns. Some blade or brace attachment points and things that go on the back of those receivers. And On the Canic side, I mentioned earlier about the accessories. So 2018 is going to be, a year where a lot comes out on that end. Everything from, you'll be able to take the extended mag releases from the SFX and put them on other guns, to things like trigger upgrades and other stuff. So it'll be a cool year. There's a lot of innovation happening in the industry. I think that the way that the gun industry is right now, with the Republican in charge, it's kind of an innovate or die phase.
Mm-hmm.
You've got, one day there were 1 million AR companies, and the next, a couple months later, you're weeding a lot of stuff out. So, we're trying to do everything we can to make sure we stay, cutting edge and to offer a lot of value.
Well said.
I think you really hit the nail on the head there, Patrick, with that magical word that I love to hear from a firearms manufacturer, and that's innovate. I will look at a gun, or what piques my interest in a firearm is an actual innovation. So that's actually one of the, no jab at Canic or Century Arms, but that's one of the reasons why I actually found myself being drawn more towards Sig Sauer. You look at things that they're doing, like with the MCX, MPX platforms, the P320, you could argue isn't a huge innovation, but it's not the same old stuff that they've been creating for the past, 30 years, like another company that I don't want to mention. But I haven't had a chance to shoot a Canic yet. I've played with them. I've handled them at the range, and honestly, you might want to pass this up to your marketing guys. You guys should set up like a hidden camera at a booth where you have people trying out the triggers on those things and just catching the reaction. Like, here's this $500 gun, retail, this $500 ballpark gun, and they're like, "Oh, this trigger's going to be shit," and then they pull the trigger and it's like, "Oh my god, that's amazing."
Yeah,
so I mean,
that would be cool.
Hats off to your designers for the trigger work they've done, and I'm certainly impressed by the platform. But yeah,
Thanks,
I'm happy to hear you say that word innovate, because you don't see that.
I'll tell you, it's something that Century in particular, and I say me, but I really mean, we from the sales side give some input on design. We say, here's what we think people will like. This is what I'm hearing from the dealers. This is what I'm hearing from the guys I shoot with and then I go to these events with. But it's really, our engineers and our product managers and things like that. Century is in a unique kind of position because, one, as I mentioned earlier, we're a 59-year-old surplus company, so we still have that part of the business. And two, the second biggest part of our business is AKs. Maybe you wouldn't be amazed at how many people, when you made on the AK platform, act like it's just heresy. How could you touch my rifle? It was fine the way, Kalashnikov made it. What are you doing?
Yeah, rifle is fine.
Right. So, we go, hey, we came out with this, this feature, and it's going to make it, more ergonomic, and it's going to do this. And they're like, what are you doing? Just don't ever innovate on the AK platform. Leave it alone. I have wood on mine.
No, look, it's a great platform, but I agree. When you hold on to it, it's like holding on to some high school kid's, metal shop project.
Which, by the way, we had a couple questions over on YouTube as well, which I think we addressed a lot of these, actually, believe it or not, because I wasn't paying attention to the comments, but I apologize for that. But it's one of the questions is, how can the AK become an all-around lighter weapon? New parts, new anything? But basically, what can we do to lighten it up? Any thoughts on that?
There are some expensive solutions using things like titanium and some other steels and all. It's almost like you can have it cheaper, but or you can have it better, but you can't have both. Right. You can have it lighter, but you also can't have it be, a $500 or $600 or $700 retail gun. If you're talking about significantly lighter. Okay. So now we make milled guns and we make stamp guns. The stamp guns are significantly lighter than the milled guns. You could do some cool stuff like flute the barrel. You could use some titanium and some other parts that are adding a little weight, like the front sight gas block and things like that. There's certain places you could get away with using aluminum. There's certain places you couldn't. Some of the furniture aspects you can lighten up, but your polymer is, you're not going to get too much lighter than, a Magpul polymer grip and things like that. So I think there are limitations. I think there are some things that you could do.
It makes sense that it's heavier. It was designed by someone who was a tank engineer.
That's also shooting a 30 caliber bullet.
Yeah,
that's very true. Also,
yeah, exactly, and it's a powerful round. And if you're talking about the even the 7.62, you think about the action of the AK. This is a large gas piston, action. That gas tube is long. That the bolt, the bolt carrier, is a big hunk of metal. So working around that to lighten some things up is tough while remaining true to the original design and the thing that people really, really want out of it.
Makes sense.
I would gladly accept the AK at the weight that it is if there were more aftermarket trigger products for it. I take the weight all day long.
There's more like ALG, I think, making them.
Yeah, they're starting to come out more, but if you compare AK-47 trigger upgrade offerings compared to AR-15, trigger upgrades, your choices are much more vast with an AR platform. There are some good
your
AK
audio
triggers.
is just let you know, your audio is a little garbled today.
Yeah, I'm using a different headset. Give me a sec. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to change my headset.
I just want to let you know.
So I'll tell you. One of the things that I put in my competition gun was a CMC trigger, and I got the I think it's the CMC Elite. Those guys at CMC and girls at CMC are awesome, and they actually loaned me one to try out, and I put it in. I tried it in a Raz, and then when I wanted to go with a shorter barrel for one of my guns, I put it in one of my M92 Zastava, Serbian pistols, and man, talk about being as close to an AR trigger as you can get. That is a really, really great trigger.
That was the next thing I was going to say is CMC.
Hey, is this better? Can you guys
way better?
My singing voice, the singing voice of a 40-year-old smoker. Yeah.
It sounds like you're trying to talk to like that thing, like the hello, my name is.
Well, I had my little Bluetooth thing around my neck, and I'm rocking the hoodie tonight, and it is what it is. Anyway, but yeah, I like CMC. I run a CMC in my competition AR. Love those triggers. But the thing that I really like about the AKs is the aftermarket parts are generally cheaper. So I would really like to see, from a manufacturer's standpoint, I get it. You guys are, especially with you guys, shipping in, imported demilled firearms. It's great. Maybe a little bit of action improvement. Maybe take out some of the creep. I'm not saying give them like a $300 trigger job, and try to keep it at the same price point. But any type of improvement you could do over a factory trigger would be a great thing.
Yeah. Have you run one of our Raz or C39 V2s?
I don't think I've done the Raz. I think, if I remember correctly, my brother owns a Wasser.
Okay.
I think.
So the American-made guns and some of the later foreign-made guns utilize our Rack 1 trigger group, which was exactly an answer to what you just asked. It's it's one of our American-made trigger groups, and it does radically change the way the AK or the other triggers that we're using. It definitely changes the feel from those. Now, is it as good as a $250 CMC trigger? No. It's a production gun trigger, but it is miles of your standard AK trigger found in import guns. So
right.
I was surprised on my Raz how decent that trigger was for a, what did I pay for that gun? $599 or whatever. Geez.
Right.
Could be worse.
I agree.
Yep. Well, it's certainly a decent upgrade.
You'll notice that too from manufacturer when you talk about a stock trigger, you'll see differences in the quality, and one feels a little grittier than the other and that sort of thing. But keep in mind too, it's in most cases a stock trigger is more of like I don't know if you want to say a duty style trigger, a non-competition use trigger. So it's designed for a certain purpose too. When you jump into the competition trigger, you're looking for all those key benefits of lighter pull and shorter reset and all this stuff versus something that you're trying to make sure that basically is not going to go off when you don't want it to, and that it takes a little bit of effort to do so when you want it to.
Yeah. Now we've seen 10 years ago, okay, or hell, even 7 years ago, having companies like Magpul make a bunch of stuff for AKs, companies like Troy, Midwest Industries, some of these big companies like Bravo Company make stuff for AKs was just, and now you can get a Geisley trigger or a CMC trigger and a Magpul stock and 2 different Magpul grips and four ends and all kinds of stuff. SLR Rifle Works is making some really, really cool stuff. The AKs come a long way. Innovation in the AK accessory market is a difficult kind of a beast, because at this point, as much as I'd love the AK to be way more popular in the US, ARs are probably selling at a clip of 50 times AKs. Right. So a company goes out and they're going to invest in a mold to make a trigger or a casting or something like that. They're going to go, I can sell 50 of these for every one of those I do. So it's a big investment to get it to do that. And here's the other kicker to that one. The AK is a non-standard design, so you can get an AR trigger and be relatively 99% assured that your AR trigger is going to fit in every AR you have in your safe and pretty much every one that you find in the gun store. But with AKs, you've got a Hungarian build, a Polish build, a Romanian build. The Yugo builds are completely different, and everything's a little off. The holes don't line up. The handguards don't fit. So it's not a one-size-fits-all, like I developed this trigger and it fits these 50 guns. It's like it fits this Century gun, but not that one. And
it's kind of like the AR-10 platform.
Stuff.
When you don't have a spec for something, it's like people see it as, hey, you've got, Rifle X, but Rifle X has so many different variants, like you said, that things don't fit together. And you run into issues with fitment on things, especially if you're trying to piece one together yourself versus buy one out of the box. Modify it.
That's been like the biggest deterrent for me to build an AR-10. I would love to build like a SAS replica, but the intricacies of AR-10 components, or just that platform as a whole, the components in and of themselves are.
Honestly, the way I look at it with the AR-10, which I'm sure is different than the AK, just to share a little bit of insight to add to what you're kind of saying. I've had people tell me this, hey, good luck getting your AR-10 to run and this and that and whatnot. And, like I said, I've got mine sitting right here. Basically, the way I look at it is matching key components helps reduce issues with fitment and operation. That's just my general thought when I look at the mechanics of anything. So, for example, your barrel and your bolt carrier group, if you get them from the same manufacturer, they're supposed to match up. You have a better chance of them matching up properly. Getting your upper and lower receiver set is key from one manufacturer, because you're going to find, especially with receivers, that there's not going to be proper fitment between the upper and lower. Otherwise, you have gaps and stuff, and it may not even function or even pinned together properly. So when I built mine, that's kind of the way I was looking at it. The handguard was something I kind of ran into. Initially, I was going to just kind of give a quick little backstory. I picked out a high-rise handguard because I didn't know any better. I thought, okay, there's DPMS pattern, high and low, and this and that. Well, apparently there's DPMS low, high, and extra high. And I picked out an extra high one by mistake. So ultimately, I ended up running with this DR Guns handguard. That's brand new. They're just coming out right now with it, which is set to be DPMS high, which is what my Aero Precision receiver is. That did require a little bit of fitting too, because the anti-rotation tabs, I talked about it in the video doing the installation, kind of show you what I'm talking about. There's these tabs on the side here. They were just too close together to slide over the upper receiver. I kind of rather have that than it be way too loose, because I basically could take a file to it and just file it a little bit on each side to get it to be lined up perfectly and be nice and tight fitting. But that's how I generally go about it. If I'm looking at something like that, trying to match the key components that kind of go together in a sense. Granted, the whole rifle is built where each part is touching each other, right? But key components being a receiver set, barrel, bolt carrier group, and so forth. So it's not as bad as one would think to build an AR-10, at least with that platform. I haven't had the opportunity to do an AK like that, obviously, and I'm a little bit more apprehensive to try that with all the rivets and everything else that are involved with it. So,
yeah, they're not easy. You don't just put them together in the garage. You got to have some equipment.
Right. I was watching that one time too, like someone doing rivets on them. And they had made a chisel themselves for an air hammer to be able to drive the rivets and be able to mushroom them properly, in a sense. I was like, that's pretty cool how that all works. But yeah, you need equipment, tools, and probably some practice at it. Probably screw up a few of them the first few times you do them, I imagine. I look at these things like, oh, you could build an AK from a receiver flat and bend it and put it together and heat treat it with a blowtorch to warm them up and cool it and everything. And I'm like, yeah, you have to. All those holes that are drilled in that plate are lined up perfectly if you bend everything perfect. Good luck trying to bend everything perfect. Some people probably have done it, though, so I can't really say, it's not impossible. It's just difficult. So,
I got a question for you, Jason.
Yeah.
Who's making a good ambi safety for an AK? For those of us left-handed, sad folks in the world.
Wrong-handed.
Yeah, wrong-handed. Man, I actually don't know. I haven't really done any research into finding one, to be honest with you. I know that there's some guys making aftermarket safeties. I know they're out there, but I couldn't tell you a good one.
Yeah, I would know either off the top of my head. I believe Krebs Customs makes one, but how it compares, I couldn't tell you that either, obviously. But they make some good stuff too.
Yeah, maybe Kent, maybe you could just have like a tab welded underneath and through the trigger guard. Kind of like how they fixed the problem for left-handed shooters for the charging handle on the AK. They just bent it upward. You reach over.
I'll go out to the shop and I'll get back to you in about 30 minutes. I'll see what I come up with. It can get ugly real fast.
Hey man, bottle of whiskey and some good tunes, we can make it happen.
Let's do it.
The only thing I remember about ambi safeties and AKs, one time I was at a practical rifle match and someone was running an AK, and they screwed up something with the safety. I think it was the ambi safety they had on it. They ended up sending it around accidentally or negligently, into the dirt, basically a couple feet in front of them. Of course, they got DQ'd and stuff, but it's an example of putting something new on their rifle and not being fully used to it yet before going out and doing a competition and so forth, and just made a mistake.
Mm-hmm. Which I'll say I work for a manufacturer, but I'm not a builder. I wouldn't mess around with my safety, but
right.
There are lots of people who come up with creative solutions for problems like that. I mean, the pin goes from one side to the other. I'm sure there's some way to do it.
That's a really polite way of saying it there, Jason.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's the fun thing, too, about this stuff. We mentioned about innovation and everything. Seeing a lot of these cool ideas and how people overcome different challenges in this industry, especially when it comes to like regulations and all that. You want to conform within the law, but yet push everything you can to that limit. For example, you see a lot with like magazines. You might have mag restriction where you can only have 10 rounds. Well, then someone comes up with a coupler that will have 5 10-round magazines on it so that you can easily pop them out and flip it to the next one and have 50 rounds basically in a mag. Just requiring you to kind of technically change the mag, which is what you'd have to do anyway by the confines of the law where they're at. Things like that just fascinate me. I don't like that we have to do them.
Can I interest you in a pump action AK?
Oh, wow, that's pretty cool.
We actually have those in our gun sample room.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
awesome.
The things you do when you have to figure out solutions for things. But yeah.
I'll tell you what, that'd make a badass little hunting gun.
So
I was just thinking the same
available
thing.
yeah, I was gonna say, would this be something that's available for sale currently or no?
No, this is just something that it actually, I believe, was available for a limited, for a time. But it was, I think, in response to, kind of one of those impending or instituted, bans on semi-auto rifles and stuff in certain states, and we brought in a pump action AK. It was basically a pump that went around the gas tube in the barrel and then attached to the charging handle. And the charging handle gas system that was basically not attached, so it did not reciprocate. You fired, and it pushed forward, and then you had to rack it back.
Well, we see that there's a pump action AKs. I don't know if it's Troy that makes one, for example, I think. But what was else I saw? Oh, recently I saw this. I didn't even know this existed. I thought it was kind of interesting. I believe Remington had a model that it's basically a 223 rifle.
It's all police pump.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pump action rifle that uses uses AR-15 magazines in it, or I think it's an M16 or AR mags, basically the same thing.
Yeah, that was an initial reaction to the Hollywood bank robbery. The two guys armed with AKs hopped up on drugs and covered head to toe in body armor. Was that like the idea of, hey, these police officers are already used to using a pump action shotgun, but they need a higher power, smaller caliber round? Yep. They needed something that would be more adequate against the Kevlar of the 90s, which I think it was 93 when that happened. Maybe I might be getting my dates wrong, but
they had a movie on this.
There was a movie on it.
We need to get the 223s.
Yeah, well, they were breaking into, or the cops were kicking in the doors of local gun stores.
Yep.
To grab whatever rifles they could off the shelf, because they weren't issued or equipped with their factory loadout for an adversary of that, to coin or to pardon the pun, but of that caliber. These guys were rolling full automatic AK-47s, and 12 gauge and 9mm just won't cut it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Especially when they're head to toe in body armor. Honestly, the only reason it stopped is because the two guys realized they were cornered and they blew their own brains out. But yeah, so Remington was already issuing the 870s to the police department, and initially won the contract to come up with a solution that would give them their first assault rifle. And it just so happened to be patterned after the Remington 870 pump action style, just compacted down into a 223 caliber with M16 mags.
Is that the 730 or the 7? Which
I think it's the 7600 or it's something like that.
Well, they recently hit them on Slick Guns or Gun.deals, and that's where I saw it.
If you can find them, they're just a cool gun to have.
That's what I thought. I'm like,
I would even argue that it's probably one of the better truck gun ideas out there, or a ranch rifle, if you will. You can usually find them for super cheap, under $300, if that.
I was going to say it's between 3 and 4.
That's cool.
They'll take the beta, any AR-15 mag, so beta mags, 10 rounders, 5 rounders, 20 rounders, you name it, they'll take it. And they run, and they're pretty damn accurate with their iron sights too. So
now we just need to put a 300 blackout barrel on it, suppress that son of a bitch, and we got
ourselves. No, honestly, so the first time I ran into that platform is when I was working at the gun store, actually not too far from you, Jason, out in Tampa. That was the first time I came across those things, and I was like, what would make this even better is make it in 7.62x39.
That would be cool. Yeah, I came across that. I'm just like, this is interesting. This is cool. I'm like, this is an older design, but some of these these companies are coming out with these newer AR platforms that have pump action on it. I'm like, this is cool. Something already exists like this, although it's not technically an AR.
Yeah, the only thing that I would change about them is if you were to run them in 7.62x39, I would come out with I hate to use the term proprietary magazine, but a magazine better than a factory AK mag, and that's only because is that platform would not accept the AK mag release very well. I think because you see the same thing with like the SKS. You see people that get the conversion kits to get them to take AK mags. You can never get those things to run right. So if you could take that same Remington 700 or that Remington platform.
Well, the CMMG Mutant runs AK mags.
That's the CMMG Mutant. This is basing off of this pump action style frame type deal.
Gotcha. Okay.
So think same concept but less tactical looking. If we want to get away from the scary black guns, you know, for that California compliant bullshit.
So there we go. You heard it here on BigGunner81. Jason said that they were going to do it, so there's that.
Oh, and before we get off onto the next topic, Rick, we've got.
Oh, cool!
Wife just handed this to me, so this will be coming.
Making the final cuts. Awesome.
Yep. So there's your first one.
That is. Very cool.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll get your information. We'll get it sent out to you, man.
Awesome. Yeah, it's something we're working on too. Like, you know, I did a hat recently just for a trial run with the logo on it. But I'm looking at maybe doing something for our Patreon, you know, contributors, doing some you know, different levels of like, you know, kind of like gifts in a sense for, you know, different levels of contribution. Maybe hats that are embroidered, maybe some decals, things like that, swag items. Still working on the details, like I said, for it, and kind of figuring out what these things are going to cost and everything like that. Still kind of a new venture, but stay tuned for that. And we're coming up close to our hour, but a couple things I was going to mention too is 50statesofar15.com. We're adding more and more stuff to it every couple days, probably. I'd say I would like to say every single day. However, timing doesn't always allow for that kind of stuff. But we're starting to populate it more with more things for the project. For those that don't know, we're building a rifle for every state with components from that home state. And I say every state, there's going to be some that are a challenge. Right now, I thought I found one for Hawaii, and I think that company might be out of business now. Fortunately, as we mentioned, some of these companies are since we're in a better political climate in a sense for you know, firearms laws in a sense, but in less of a political climate that's, you know, beneficial for the sales of firearms. Some of the smaller companies, if they, like we mentioned earlier, innovate or kind of, you know, fall by the wayside. So anyhow, check out 50statesofar15.com. And we got that going on. I don't know if you guys got any final thoughts before we wrap things up. I'll go with you, Corey. I know you've been very quiet.
No, not at the time. I mean, I
saw the new logo. It's starting to look pretty cool.
Yeah, finishing up on that. Hopefully have everything finalized this weekend. I've just been Indiana hunting season just opened up over the weekend, so I've been out in the woods a little bit more than I probably should be. But I want to get a deer before my leg surgery in December.
Oh, wow,
so I have meat for the freezer.
Nice.
But other than that, that's really all I got, man.
What are you hunting with, by the way, as far as firearms?
As of right now, I'm using my grandpa's Browning Auto 5 gold trigger. It's like a 1960s era model.
That's awesome.
It's he passed away a few years ago, and I've just been using that here lately. They outlawed the use of rifles in Indiana, so the only thing I can really hunt with right now is shotgun. I think muzzleloader comes in here shortly too.
Man, I was hearing something recently, like they're trying to, you know, push a ban on muzzleloaders or something, or change up the rules with that now.
Yeah, I saw something. I saw something the other day. Them comparing it to bump stocks.
The bump fire stocks. Like, you know, it's a whole another topic for next week's show if I remember it.
I don't see how you can compare a muzzleloader to a bump stock, but I mean, if they want to take a swing at it, go ahead.
I think it was more in the terms of regulation of them. Like, there's no regulation on bump fire stocks, and there's no regulation on like muzzleloaders or whatever, or limited regulation we want to call it. So I don't know. I didn't really read into it a whole lot because I'm just like, no.
I mean, with what all you have to do to a muzzleloader to get it to fire, it's like firing a musket. I mean, you literally you're pouring the powder down a barrel, you're shoving paper down it, you're shoving a bullet down it, then you're packing it in there. You got a cap and everything like that. I mean, it's not. I mean, you're with a muzzle loader. To me, it feels like you're going back to the Stone Age with all this new modern technology that we have. But what regulations? I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Right. So, Jason, thank you again for being on with us. You got any final thoughts you want to wrap up with?
No, thank you guys for having me. It was fun talking with you, and we'll see if we can bring you more cool stuff in the future.
Yeah, I'm all up for doing a tour one day. Maybe I'll come up and visit Kent. I'll come out there and do some filming and stuff and check out your facility. If we're allowed to film,
we
of
can
course,
do that. Certain areas you can and certain you can't, but
Gotcha.
we'd certainly be happy to have you and check everything out. We'd go do some test firing and fire some of the full auto stuff and have some fun.
Nice. Full auto is always fun. Thank you again. And Kent, you got anything you want to wrap up with?
Yeah, I'm gonna go put a bump stock on my muzzle loader and see how that works. That's what I'm gonna do for.
See if it loads any quicker by itself.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
That's it. I know you were hoping for something constructive, but
no,
that's more deconstructive than constructive. But
I know.
Yeah. Oh man. So TJ, you got anything you want to wrap up with?
So first and foremost, guys, happy Thanksgiving from my family to yours.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I will be on the road next week when we hopefully we'll get a chance. I'll get a chance to come back next week. But we'll see what happens. Rick will be in touch on that one. Jason, it was great to meet you. Thank you for coming on with us. Definitely need to get out there. I've been a bad gun advocate. I really need to get out there and actually start putting some Century TP9s through the paces. But I mean, from what I felt, they're a damn good product. So you guys should be proud of what you're doing out there.
Thanks, man.
But actually, I just got my muzzle loader back from Thompson Center, my Hawken, and I'm gonna tell you right now, if somebody wants to rob a bank with that thing,
I'm telling you. I mean,
you'd be better off beating people to death with it.
I'm telling you. I mean, the reload process for a muzzle loader. I mean, it takes a minute.
I think I see what the issue is. The fact that there's probably no background check, because that stops things, right? But I could certainly see that. I could certainly see where they would find room to bitch about that too. But
it's amazing though. There's no background check on what do you have pre 1887 or 1889 rifles, and you can get magazine fed rifles in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that NICS doesn't work at all anyway. It's what I like to call the TSA. It's the perception of security rather than actual security. But that's a discussion for another day. But
by the way, muzzle loaders, did you guys see that Maxim 50? I think it's Silencer Co. makes it, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That
cool
thing's
idea,
cool.
but it's a cool idea, but I think it's a complete gimmick.
It doesn't have a suppressor, it has a moderator.
Yeah.
They found a way to get people to pay $1,000 for a fucking $300 muzzle loader.
Exactly.
For
a CVA Walmart Wolf.
Yeah, give them credit. That isn't a bad idea, really.
No, like I said, it's a cool thing. It's cool, but it's a gimmick. It's not going to help me kill more deer. And frankly, if you look at the actual loading process, it makes an already tedious process all that much more tedious.
Yeah, with the fact that you got to
buy
put
two of them and
inside
do a muzzle loader New York.
Oh yeah, yeah. Fire one, reload the other. You still got it down.
Go straight up the Patriot on him, Mel Gibson. and when I miss the deer, I'll use my 3 tomahawks on my belt.
Which, speaking of movies, I did see Red Dawn, by the way. Now you guys can stop pressing.
Oh,
yes. We watched both of them this past weekend. We watched the original and the remake, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
So both had their pros and cons to them. But we should love to discuss that. I totally forgot about that. That was the other thing I was going to do today. Talk about that. But we'll cover that maybe next week. If I can remember all the details of it.
No, next week, whole segment.
Red Dawn?
No, movie review between old Red Dawn and new Red Dawn. Straight up.
Oh, man. Okay. I'll have to try to remember all the I'll have to try to make some notes here and there just so I can try to remember them all, because that's what will happen. I'll forget all that stuff.
Yeah, you got to do some homework on that one.
It was good. I'm glad I watched them finally. So, but anyway, I appreciate y'all being on with us. And again, happy Thanksgiving to everybody, because we'll see you after Thanksgiving, of course. Hope you all have a good one with your family and friends and everybody. And as always, have fun shooting.